Hello, creative friends. It's Andrea, and I'm here to kick off a brand new YouTube collaboration with the creative design team. In this collaboration, we're going to be focusing on taking cards and turning them into layouts. So we're going to draw inspiration from some of our previous 31 Days of Christmas cards, and we are going to make a layout out of them. So let's talk about the 31 Days of Christmas cards. Every year for the past 5 years, so this is our 6th year, the creative design team and I, along with some guest designers, have created a month's worth of Christmas card classes for you. And you can go over to cdtcreatives.com to check out the link for this year's event. And we always have such a great community of crafters join us. Last year, one of my ideas was to create a repeating ephemera class. So I went ahead and I designed some cards, and there are several more examples given within each class, but I've got 2 from one class here. And this was my little repeating ephemera reindeer card. And here is the Season of Magic. So I repeated the sentiment along with the little ephemera pieces here. And like I said, I show different examples, but we're just going to look at the 2 here today. I want to draw from this idea here, this concept, and I've got 3 photos that I have printed out, and these are photos of Macy's on 34th Street in New York City. I took a trip with Katie last year, and we did some window browsing, and we went inside Macy's. So these are the outside photos. So I've got one of each of us, and here's Katie looking like a model. And then I've got one with the Empire State Building going up into the clouds in the background, and seeing the outside of Macy's here. So I just wanted to make a quick, easy little layout, and I thought this was the perfect idea. 3 photos, repeating elements. And so I started looking for inspiration. And here I have a brand new mini catalog by Stampin Up. And I'm going to just scoot through the pages until I find page 14. And they've given us sketches for tags, for cards, and for layouts. And I'm just going to lift this up into the camera. And we're going to focus on this layout right here. What I loved about it was that there were 3 photo wells. There were 3 spots for other stuff, 3 circular elements on top of squares. So we've got the circles to soften up the squares, and a little sentiment right down here. I thought this was just a really good design for having had 3 photos. Now, I wasn't willing to cut my photos down into 3 by 3 squares. I wanted to keep them rectangles. And so that is where this idea was born with the 3s and the repeating ephemera. It just gave me such creative license here to change things up that I decided to run with it. So first of all, I'm going to set these cards aside. They're lots of fun. And like I said, we'd love to have you join us in that 31 days event. And I started by picking out paper, and I knew that I loved the red with the photos. So here I have some cherry cobbler, and I really think that there's so many different hues of reds, but I really just think it worked well. It's just a beautiful red for Christmas. And then I started looking at what designer series paper I had. And I decided to look at something, I didn't want something so patterned. I wanted my photos and then the design elements, the repeating ephemera, to be the centerpiece of this layout. So this is my Regal distressed pattern paper. And you get 6 sheets in all, and you can see they are embossed with a lovely gold pattern on it, on each sheet. And I had actually auditioned this particular paper, but it was just very stark and white, and I wanted something that felt a little bit warmer. So I went ahead and pulled in the cherry cobbler pattern paper with the gold, and I thought that that was perfect. So here's what I'm going to do first. I am going to slide these off, and I have cut down a 6 by 12 inch tall piece of cardstock here. And I'm just going to run this straight down the center of my page. And I think that having a mat, so I'm just going to bring in a mat. And this again is my DIY Versa mat that I made on my channel here on YouTube. So if you want, you can check that out. And I'm just going to lay this paper down. on top of that mat because I want to make sure that I center this paper. And to do so, I need to put it on the 3-inch line on the left and the 9-inch line on the right, and just drop it down like so. And then I just need to come up with my photo arrangement, how I want these photos. So let me just see. I'm looking back at this sketch. Maybe I'll put Katie down here, myself in the center, and then this here. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I have some other big elements that I want to put on the page. Let's adhere these photos quickly down to the page. I have trimmed these photos down 1/8 of an inch, so that this way I had a 1/16 of an inch border of black around each. I felt like the black just framed out the photos just a little bit. I didn't want white. I wanted to play off the black elements here in the building, and the windows have a great big black frame around them. I just thought it looked better. And then again, Katie had black. I had some black on as well. The pattern goes well with my crazy plaid that I was wearing here, and it all just somehow works, I think. Now, the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of frame these out. This is not on that sketch, but I just felt it was important to kind of put a little design element along the side. So I could go with something bold. We have a brand new satin ribbon here. It's a gold edge satin ribbon, and it's very pretty. Shaded spruce it is. Now I could put this down and edge it out. I thought that was pretty, but it's not quite the right green. The gold lights, the white lights here in the greenery makes this appear a little bit more brighter, more of a yellowy green. So this one didn't work. So I went stash diving just a bit, and I found a cherry cobbler ribbon from last year. And I think that that is going to give this a nice edge, and it's going to kind of flow because we've got these squares that are about the same size, probably about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and tack this down. I've got some little glue dots here. And let's see if we can't just put a few of those along the way here. I think it's easier to turn the mat this way maybe. And I'm going to leave just a little edge on each side because I want to turn this over then and then adhere. I'm going to put glue dots on the back eventually, and we'll go ahead and wrap that around the back to secure it. So let's edge out this side as well. So now our ribbon is secured in all 4 spots. Flip this back over, and so far so good. I'm liking, I think that's just a nice little trim to kind of mat in this little centerpiece. I think that's a nice little subtle touch. Next, I'm going to do some bold design here. I want to create elements, and if you remember correctly, there were 3 circles, and I loved that. They touched the top right and bottom right squares, and then they touched the center square over here on the left. And so I've got an idea. Now I could have brought in some die cuts, but I wanted this layout to have an impact. So I'm going to bring in something that's kind of unexpected. We have these large gold hoops, and Stampin' Up! Has shown them for ornaments. So basically you take some string or something, you cut out a die cut image, stamped image, and then you can string it in the middle and it kind of twirls loosely. I absolutely love these. And what I love about them is that I thought that they would make the most amazing elements here. So I'm thinking I'm going to do them something like this. I'm going to pull this one out a bit. I'm going to keep this one tucked really close to the photo here, and this one. So I've got, not only do I have 3 photos, I've got these 3 statement pieces here, and boy are they ever bold. I'm going to just take a few little glue dots and hope that I can stick these down just a bit. I'm going to just kind of wrap these around, and let's see what happens. Can I peel off the backing here and leave the glue? So yep, that will anchor these down to the page. So I'm going to put all these down, and then I'll come back and we'll build some more. Now each of our 3 openings here have our hoops glued down, and I put just 2 glue dots, and they're not moving anywhere. The next thing that I wanted was to explore a bold repeating element, kind of like our reindeer and our sentiments here, because it is about the repeating ephemera. So I could have gone and just found a punch out somewhere, but I wanted to do something that really was another va-va-voom kind of moment on this layout. So I went into my new stamp sets and dies, and let me show you what I found. So we have this new Ornamental Christmas stamp set, and it has dies that do cut out some of the elements here, but it also has this amazing set of what would be bubbles or ornaments. And there's a circle here. And at first I thought to use this open circular die, you could just make one big circle here. But I thought to myself, you know what? That's kind of boring. Let's go with those gold loops. But I did thoroughly love this particular piece. So what I have done is I have gone ahead, used my little mini die cut and emboss machine, and I'm just going to pull this out here and open it up. And I just want you to see how easy this all comes together. So I'm just making a sandwich, my little gray plate, my cutting plate. I have a piece of gold foil paper here. This was the textured gold foil. And I'm going to line that up. I'm going to put my little die on it. And watch how easily this machine cuts. So yeah, it does wiggle around a little bit on the table. So I'm just going to put my hand on the handle. I'm going to just go backwards and forwards. One pass through. Did my other two, but I just wanted to show you how easily it comes out. So let's look at our little die cut that's left behind. I'm just going to shake out all these little triangles that are left here. You could collect those and do something, but isn't this just stunning? I just couldn't be happier with the way that this turned out and how easy this die set goes through that little mini machine. Now I have also cut out, I've used this belt because this belt, when you run it through, cuts out just some round circles, and I'll show you those to you in a second. They cut out 3 sizes here. So I have cut out the belt. I just think that is meant to be a piece where you don't use the negatives. You use this piece on one of the ornaments and it would make a pattern with a few holes. But when you use it just separately, it gives you the perfect little element. And I'm going to bring those in, bring this back into the frame. And I think it's very important that we give this some dimension. So I'm just going to create some lift here. Just going to put a pop dot on the back. And then I just need to figure out where I want to lay these. I could have kept all these circles in the inside. I could have put these all in the middle and they would have looked like an ornament that's just kind of spinning. But I want more movement. I want to exaggerate the movement down this page. So I'm thinking I might do something like this. Maybe place this one more towards the center. This one kind of down at the bottom. And then maybe this one we can put right there. So I'm just going to pop the pop dots, and the pop dots are great because now these are up about to the height of the ring that we have here, the gold ring. What's important to note about these is that I believe that one set of the points is larger than the others. At least that's the way it appears to me. So I wanted to keep the larger points going north and south, and then the others kind of pointing off to the sides. That's the way that it appeals to my eye the most. You might have a different opinion, and if you're going to make a layout like this, go ahead and make it your own. So remember those little dots that I told you about? I took 3 of the big ones and I put them on little foam dots as well, because I want to use those as little elements to just create like a button look in the center of each of these. And I think that is really adding to the design. It's elevating it. I think between this and this, you're getting more dimension, and the dimension definitely is attractive to my eye. So I like the way that looks as well. And then let's see what else we can do here. Now I do have some greenery and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to take the greenery out for a minute. I'm not sure if we need it. I'm going to build the rest of the layout first, and then we'll make that decision together as we go along. So here are those little gold dots that came out of that ornament. And I think I want to stick to, let's see, I'm going to try to get like 3 in each area, have them kind of trail up and down. You know, I'm really having a design issue here. I think what I want to do is I think I want to move, let's see if I can move this one in just a bit. Well, let's see. Let's see if I can move this one out. Put that as high as I can get it and out. And the reason I think I want to adjust that is because I want to be cognizant. I want to put a little sentiment here that'll act as our title, and that does in fact match what they have here on the sketch. I'm sticking true to that. So by moving them, that's going to give me room. So I think that that's a better placement for all this, because then the sentiment can kind of go in here. So maybe something like that. This way it can trail through. I have some brand new elements here, and this is something that I've not played with yet. These are the metallic texture rub-ons, and there are 8 sheets in here. There are 4 silver, 4 golds. And so for each of these, you get 2 of the same sheets in gold, the other 2 sheets in gold, and then the same for silver, 2 and 2. And I think I want to focus on one of these sheets in gold, because there's just so many beautiful little elements here. I love the bursts that are here, and I also just love the splatter. So it's a real controlled way to do splatter, but I think I'm going to focus on this little element here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out. I did read the instructions, so they said cut them out. This way you don't accidentally get any of the others onto the layout. I want to show you the easiest way that I found to put on the little rub-ons. So you peel off the backing, which I have done on this one, and you just lay it down. There is a sticky kind of adhesive on the back, just a little bit. Now, I had initially thought bring in my bone folder, and the bone folder, by burnishing, it was just too much. I find that the best way to do it is just simply to rub this on with your fingers. I feel like when you burnish it too much, some of the little gold accents don't come off properly, believe it or not. So gentle pressure is what is best. So I'm going to go into our other new stamp set, Delicate Pines, and I'm using both the stamp set and possibly the dies. I'm not sure. We're going to see how that all looks, but I just want to use the sentiment that is celebrate this season, and I want to create a little sentiment right here. I'm going to bring in some Secret Sea ink. Open this up. I love Secret Sea. It is very close to Harbor from Close to My Heart, and that was one of my favorite colors. I believe you've probably seen Katie use this color many, many times because it is just such a pretty neutral. It's not as bold as black. It's a little more subtle, yet it has some of the same hues as black would. So let me just bring in a strip of paper. This is just some old cardstock. So I've just got the little tag, and I'm just going to give it a little trim here. And this could go flat down on its own, but I think I want to just back it with some cardstock here. This is definitely a scrap of Harbor that I have left from Close to My Heart. And that's a little better, isn't it? I just think that's the appropriate size for this. So I'm going to actually put this onto foam tape as well. I'm just going to put a foam dot on either side. This way it can straddle the little design element here, the gold hoop. So that is pretty good. So here we go. We have the layout could be completed. I'm not quite so sure at this time. I might just need a little bit more. And that's why I went ahead and I brought in the greenery aspect of the Delicate Pines, the dies. So look at this stamp set. It's gorgeous. Stamp set is gorgeous, but the dies are this, like, they're just stunning. Look at how many dies you get in this set. And what is wonderful about it is that it has these pine pieces here. And if you cut out 3 times, you can make a pine snowflake out of it by just offsetting them just a little bit. And I think that that's fabulous. So if you were to cut this out 3 times, I've got it cut out 3 times, but I've actually detached it. So you can picture 1, 2, and then the third one would go across and you'd have a full snowflake made out of this. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to snip off the ends here. I want to get rid of that little round circle on each of them. And so I went stash diving. I don't even know what color green this is. This might be some old, close to my heart, pine colored paper maybe. I didn't really pay attention. I just liked the color and thought that it was good. And I just have a pile of scraps, a little container of scraps. So I'll dig in there before I dig into a full piece of paper, into a full cardstock, because I just feel like it's wasteful if I've got little pieces that I can do it with. I have also used what I believe is Harbor, but again, Secret Sea is an awesome replacement for this. And I'm just going to decide if I think that it is going to elevate the layout if we put a couple pieces of this greenery here, or if it's going to actually take away from the look. Let's see what we think. So if I was to go ahead and put these down here, I think it's a pretty little touch. I think that that is nice. Let's see what else we have. And I should say I've cut these out of the light and the dark sides of Harbor, so you could do the same with Secret Sea. And let's see, maybe this one will just build up along this side since we don't have as much interest over here. So I can just kind of tuck those out. Let's just, maybe less is more. I'm not sure. We won't know until we try. So I think I don't really love it trailing up on this gold hoop. It just feels like, it feels a little bit clunky, just doesn't feel so wonderful. I kind of like it when it is more like this down here. I don't want to tuck it too far in back of our star either. I just feel like that is just too much. A little cluster like that. So I'm going to just glue these down. I think moving this in might be a little better. I definitely don't love it, like I said, when it's out covering the whole side here. And maybe this one will go a little lighter and just do one sprig of each. So I'm going to play with this and then we'll come back and we'll look at the finished product up close. But so far I'm liking it. To finish off the layout, I just felt like my clusters needed a little bit more. You can see how I put the clusters together. I've done one of each sprig here, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. So I just made the title a little bit more accentuated. So I decided that I wanted to bring in some kind of a loopy design, and I have our black and white and gold baker's twine. So one is black, one is white, and I have cut just a few small strands and I've gently just tucked these up. So this is the black, which I thought was what I would go with, and then this is the white. And I'm really torn, but I think I'm actually leaning more to the pop of white just to brighten this up. It goes with the paper down here that we stamped our sentiment on. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take out the black one here. And this has just such a nice natural curve to it. I'll lay it down. And I'm just going to make a couple of loops. Really easy. This one actually wants to go backwards. I don't know why. There we go. So I just make a couple of loops and then we just cut off the tail. You can do more than 2 if you want. So I'm just going to do 2. I think that's pretty good. And then I'm just going to use a little glue dot and tuck them in. So I'm going to do that for each of the 3. Then I'm going to lift this back up into the camera and let you look at it up close and personal. Completed the layout, and let's just talk for a moment one more time. I love how we drew inspiration from one of my 31 days of Christmas cards that I've created. This was in the 2024 classes. Again, repeating ephemera. Love the way that we took that idea, that concept, and moved it over to a layout. So what you learn in the card class, even if you are a scrapbooker, you can apply it there. And then pairing it with that great sketch as a jumping off point, we just made this medley that all came together in this beautiful composition. So let me lift this up. So many new and exciting products to play with this time around. And I think you can see the beautiful little rub-ons that are just glimmering here when it hits the light the right way. We've got some great stamp sets with dies this time around. Again, do not sleep on these hoops. Again, they are called, let me bring this in, they're called the large gold hoops. easy enough to find, and they make amazing design elements on your scrapbook layouts. They're not just for ornaments on a tray. You could probably take the same exact concept then and put it over onto a card. So let's go from a card to a layout back to a card, because we just created some more inspiration. And then look outside the box when it comes to your dies. So the fact that I had 3 different sizes of circles that are cut out of that die that aren't meant to be used, they're just meant to be thrown away. But when you look at your dies a little bit differently, you can find more uses for them. Again, we have the beautiful cluster here with the twine. So I've given this one 3 loops. I didn't want to do everything matchy or the same. So we've got 2 loops, 2 pieces of greenery. We've got 2 loops, 4 pieces of greenery, and here we've got 2 pieces of greenery with 3 loops. And I just think that that keeps the layout a little more interesting, don't you? And then just sealing up the edges with some ribbon. It's understated, but it's just another little elegant touch. So I hope that you have enjoyed creating this layout with me based on a beautiful card from the 31 days. Be sure, like I said, to check that out. And then every day this week, you're going to be treated to a new layout that's been inspired by a card design by each of us here at the Creative Design Team. So go ahead and look at the Creative Design Team playlist for 2025, and you will be able to find all of those videos. All the supplies I have used, I will list below in this video's description so that you can create your own easy layout. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new here to my channel, please consider becoming my subscriber so that you don't miss out on any of my upcoming projects. And be sure to drop me a little line. I love to hear from you. Have a creative day.